Star Trek, the ultimate franchise. These are the podcasts of the Wakefield brothers. Their 16-year mission to watch every production, to seek out life lessons and new inspirations, to boldly watch like most fans have watched before. Welcome back to Temporal Directive, the Star Trek fan podcast rewatching the entire franchise in chronological order. I'm Gary.
And I'm Tom.
And this week, we're joined by a very special guest. Please welcome Grant.
Hi, guys.
So yeah, welcome. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank
It's
you.
good to have you here. So I guess before we get into this week's episode, let's find out a bit about you. What's your Star Trek origin story? How did you find it?
Well, my family originally moved from Scotland to Tasmania, and they were a bit Star Trek crazy over there in the UK. And my brother had one of the original 1960s Enterprise models that shot discs out of it. And that was always my favourite toy as a kid. And my parents introduced me to the next generation. And I fell in love with Captain Picard and just followed Star Trek ever since and expanded my knowledge on it.
So Next Gen was your intro?
Next Gen was my intro, yeah, but I would always stay up at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night to watch the original series between the two TV channels we had back in the day, ABC and Southern Cross. So Southern Cross at 11 p.m. every night used to have the original series, and I always used to sneak up and stay. But I was caught once, and so my parents moved the TV out of my bedroom, but sat it on a chair next to my door. So every Sunday I'd still rush the TV into my bedroom and watch the original series, then put it back out on the chair.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great. So would you say Next Gen would be your show, or would you say that another series would be your Star Trek?
Through my growing up and experience and, going through good times and a fair bit of trauma, I'd have to say I connected a lot with the trauma of discovery and the actual emotions that people go through seemed pretty accurate to me from the traumas that I've been through. But to me, Picard Season 3 was just phenomenal to me.
It was really. They've done such a good job.
I think that should have been Season 1, and sort of Picard Season 3 and Discovery sort of have helped me get through the last few years dealing with what I'm dealing with, but it keeps me going.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've often talked about how Star Trek's got us through some difficult times, and I think Trekkies have always found that it's been an inspiration or like comfort. I think that's something we have in common.
One of the things that I was told by one of my psychologists was that it is comforting, but we also know that we won't get a terrible surprise or a terrible shock. I mean, yes, some characters might be ended or something like that, but it's still our home to go to, and
it's a constant.
Yeah, there's no surprises. It's home. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we just avoid that episode about Jadzia.
Oh, yeah, got that right. Holy crap.
Jeez. Poor Jadzia.
Isn't it heart-wrenching?
So mistreated.
I've got to admit, though, the most saddest episode is that Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's the season 5 one where Cisco gets lost in subspace and Jake gets over and writes
the Visitor.
Yeah.
I love that
It's
episode.
such a good one.
Ball from start to finish.
Me
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Tony Todd as the older Jake Sisko.
Yep.
Oh, heartstrings.
That's one of my favourite.
Yeah, it's an outstanding episode.
Yep,
Absolutely. That's a brilliant one. Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough. All on the same page. I love it.
At the end of each episode, we do rate the episode we just watched, and we talk about some examples. So when we get there, we'll ask you for what your example of a 1 and a 10 episode out of the whole franchise is.
Oh, brilliant.
So have a think about that while we talk through. But let's get into this week's episode. So this week we're watching Enterprise's Silent Enemy. This one was written by Andre Bormanis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we'll go with it. And it was directed by Winrick Colby, who is a veteran Star Trek director, but this is his only Enterprise directing effort. So prior to this, though, he did 16 episodes of Next Gen, including the finale, All Good Things.
Oh, right.
13 episodes of Deep Space Nine, and 18 episodes of Voyager, including the pilot Caretaker. He also had a romance with Kate Mulgrew.
Oh.
So he sweet talked the captain.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, Rick Colby has been a big part of the Star Trek 24th century, I think.
Yeah, okay. Wow, he's done quite a bit there. Wow.
Well, just the one captain.
Wow. That we know of.
This episode aired January 16th, 2002, and is the first episode of 2002. So this is the first one back from the mid-season break. And the IMDb synopsis reads, after an attack by a mysterious ship, Archer orders Enterprise's return to Jupiter to install phase cannons. Hoshi makes plans for Malcolm's birthday. Doesn't give much away.
They rarely do these IMDb little synopses.
I think I remember reading that this is a pretty good episode. I don't remember much except maybe the CG aliens were kind of cool, but I don't really remember. I know, Tom, you don't remember Enterprise at all.
No, I barely remember anything from Enterprise ever.
Grant, what's your feelings on Enterprise? Some Trekkies aren't a big fan of Enterprise. What's your take on the series?
I do like it. Sorry.
Yeah, you're allowed to like it. It's okay.
I think that the concept of it was really well done, but I think that from season 3, the entirety of season 3 was a little bit unbelievable in the Star Trek universe with the Xindi, but season 4 got into what Star Trek was again. Yeah. So that I do like season 1. What we're talking about today is actually one of my favourite episodes, apart from one of the character developments, but that's about it. But yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go watch it.
All right.
And we're back from watching Silent Enemy. Okay, first thoughts. What did you think of the episode, Tom? That was probably your first time watching it, or
first time in a very, very long time, and I always probably say the same thing when I come back from watching Enterprise, and I
hate it.
It's just not good. I can't. It's the small details that they consistently get wrong that I have trouble with Enterprise.
Well, last week it was about gravity.
Yeah, like and that's the kind of stuff that bugs me with this series a lot. Like they consistently get small stuff wrong over and over again, and it frustrates me and takes me out of the story enough that I can't keep going, because they have good storylines in this series, and some really good ideas that I want to get invested in, but I can't hold the fictional tale enough, because they throw me out with just this. As we'll go through it, you'll find out that I'll bitch about, that just pulls me out of the story. I mean, we're trying to build a fake reality here that I can get into, and if you're going to just...
You can only suspend your disbelief to a certain point.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Grant, you said before this is one of your favourite episodes, so Tom was just really mean then, I think.
I'm sorry. I'm only being honest. I have nothing against people who are fans of Enterprise, and it has set up a lot of things in Star Trek history, and for that I'm happy about. Like, it's done its job, but for me to watch it, it's really hard to do.
Well, for me, what caught my interest in the episode right away was the deployment of the subspace antennas. It was something that we'd never seen in Star Trek, and it was quite interesting. I mean, we'd seen the TNG ones where they're huge big space stations now, but this was just a tiny little satellite. But
and I love that they've incorporated things like that throughout this series, because we do see other stuff, and they've mentioned these relays before, that they're deploying them along the way and stuff too, and it's great to see that history of how they develop themselves along the way.
Exactly.
It's really awesome.
But the only thing that didn't make sense to me is I think they had solar panels on them, and
did they?
They dropped it off in deep space.
Actually, I think you're right. They do too.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Cisco have a sail ship?
He did.
True. And it went to warp as well.
So, you know, all things are possible in space.
True.
Well, yeah, I thought this episode had some good bones. Like, I really like the idea of the aliens that don't communicate well, and that they're kind of just this confusing enigma of interaction. Because I feel like if we actually go to space and we meet aliens, it's going to be weird as shit like they are.
Yeah.
Yep. So I kind of like that it's that. I kind of like that concept. But yeah, there were a couple of things in the episode I wasn't hugely a fan of. But overall, I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was pretty good.
Overall, mine's the only thing I don't like about the episode is Malcolm's character development. He comes across as a real asshole and a real whingy little bitch. Like,
yeah. I would agree to a certain degree. It's sort of the first time we get Malcolm as a character too within the series. Like, it's the first time we get more than, you know, what weapons
couple
do they
of lines,
what weapons do they have, you know? So you know, it's sort of an odd development episode for him.
yeah.
Let's get into the episode, shall we?
All right, let's go through it.
Okay, we open with an external shot of the Enterprise dropping Echo 2, the subspace amplifier, and cut to an internal shot in the bridge with Reed basically saying that it was a clean drop and we're all good to go. And then a vessel approaches and drops out a warp, and T'Pol says that she doesn't recognize the configuration. Archer hails the ship, and as Archer always does, has to specify we're from the planet Earth and we're here to make peaceful contact.
Here's the directions. Just go over there.
Yeah. Please scan us so that you realize we have nothing. No response from the alien ship, and Archer gets a bit shitty about this and says something along the lines of, "You dropped in on us. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Fuck off then." So still no response, and the ship just flies off. Malcolm Reed says that he tried to scan, but there was couldn't get a reading of anything at all. No biosigns, no weapons, couldn't get a reading of anything at all. So it was a complete enigma. Then the credits roll, in which we hit skip. Yep. Grant, while we're here, what are your thoughts on this opening credit?
Worst opening ever.
Yeah.
Worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
and when they jazz it up in season 3, do you think that improves it, or just highlights again how bad it is?
I think that the season 4 Mirror Universe one's the best one. If there was to be a best one.
Yeah, you see, now that I do like that too. I think that's really cleverly done. That's brilliant.
That's the only one I like.
Yeah.
Agree.
Absolutely.
So we skip the credits. We're back on the bridge.
Hoshi's doing a recalibration of the subspace antenna.
Thank you.
Yeah. Theorized about whether they could hear him or like could understand him, yada yada yada.
Great. So after they have that conversation about the aliens ditching and not speaking, everyone sort of leaves that situation area at the back of the bridge, and Hoshi whispers to Archer that's saying that she's found them. I found them, Captain. And then Archer is talking to Malcolm Reed's parents, who seem very difficult.
What a fuck bunch parents they are. They don't even know their son's own favourite food.
Yeah, and it's led to believe that it's like his issue. Like Malcolm's got the issue. It's like, hello, I'm pretty sure you're pretty bad fucking parents if you don't know your kid's fucking favourite food. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
So Archer's talking to Reed's parents, and the parents are pretty shit. And it kind of boils down to the his father mentions that he didn't join the Royal Navy. At which point I paused it and went, what the fuck? There's a Navy?
a Royal.
Yeah.
A Royal Navy.
Yeah.
So is the rest of the planet united except for the Brits? Are the Brits still trying to invade? I don't know what's going on.
Well, because according to Beverly Crusher and TNG, wasn't it Australia was one of the last nation states to join the...
Oh, there you go.
To actually join the Federation, the succumb.
World. Yeah.
But wouldn't we? Aren't we under British rule technically? So if the Brits joined, wouldn't we just automatically
might
follow?
Have changed after World War III. Though.
Yeah, I would imagine that would have changed. But yeah, still, you wouldn't think a Royal Navy would exist. Like you wouldn't think there'd be enough interest in actually sort of fighting to that degree, would you?
the world's president, at the time of Enterprise is in Paris, so
Yeah.
there is no royal.
No, that's right.
it.
That's what I just don't understand.
It really sort of made us. We both stopped and just went, "What the fuck is happening?"
Exactly. All right. But basically, what they're trying to do is find out Malcolm Reed's favourite food because his birthday is upcoming. They got no information from his parents whatsoever because he just never told them and they never asked. So, yeah, shit.
Would your mum be able to tell me what your favourite food is?
No. She would probably have a stab in the dark, but no.
Oh, fair enough.
What about yours?
Yeah, she makes this chicken and mushroom pasta that I really love. And,
Right.
Yeah, right.
She just puts extra cheese and parmesan.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
It
Love
does
it.
sound pretty good,
I
actually.
might come over for dinner.
Yeah, sounds all right.
All right. After that conversation, Archer goes back to the bridge and walks straight over to Hoshi to have a whisper, and then assigns Hoshi to find out Malcolm Reed's favourite food as a top priority. Takes her off the job of calibrating the subspace communications back to Earth.
This is where
And-
I went a bit shitty.
He Michael Scott's the role and puts her on party planning committee duties.
Yeah. Yep.
After telling her that there's lots of families and crew eagerly waiting to get messages back
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he says that, and then
So the one human woman that they have in the command structure, he reassigns to party planning.
yes, put her in her place.
Are you kidding me? What the? At a time when they're working on communications, the whole mission at the moment is for her to fix these subspace antennas or relays or whatever, and fucking favorite foods.
But to be fair, she is only answering phones. She's just a receptionist.
Well, one that can speak languages.
Okay.
Sorry.
And now I'm pretty sure your microphone has a mute button here somewhere.
I just had to make the comment for the joke, not actually meaning it. Yeah, it was ridiculous. He shouldn't be doing that.
She's a senior officer.
Yeah, she is. And it's a fucking party, for Christ's sakes. And it's ridiculous that this is throughout the entire episode, her trying to figure out a fucking favourite food. Ask him.
There's 83 other crewmen on board. They could,
Yeah.
or just a crewman.
Yeah, or
Just a crewman.
or the kitchen. Like she
The
said,
yeoman.
isn't this better for the chef to do?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, it is, actually.
It is better
Good
for the
idea.
chef
You
to
don't
do
get
it.
to meet him till season 4.
Yeah, you don't see Chef till the last episode.
Oh fuck!
I do have the crewmen that give the captain his breakfast.
Yeah,
and
the
lunch,
yeoman.
so
The yeoman.
Why don't they get him to do it?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, that's it. He's like a personal assistant to the captain. Why? It's a personal assistant job, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
I agree.
Does Starfleet have an HR?
I would, if I was her, I'd be making a complaint to it. I tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, she wouldn't be able to call them anyway because she's been taken off the subspace relay job.
That's right.
That is solar powered in deep space.
We cut to Archer and Trip. They bump into each other in the corridor and make a bit of small talk as they go for a walk. Archer asks where Trip was at dinner last night, and he says he was catching up on some letters from home, so they have a bit of a talk about that. They keep walking into engineering.
Natalie from Pensacola.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one.
Trip says he got a letter from Natalie from Pensacola, who was apparently his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And apparently she broke up with him.
Which we never heard as anything about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, what is the point of introducing that at all at this point?
It's just an attempt at character development that's
That's
failed.
pointless.
Yeah.
You're introducing something that you're taking away at the same time. Like
Exactly.
it is absolutely pointless to bring it up at all. Like completely ridiculous, redundant. Like
There's no basis for the rest of the episode
No.
for him to have this
no
sort of storyline.
And I'm
either.
assuming she doesn't get brought up again, and she doesn't become a member of any episode in the future, or it doesn't become an issue for him, or any of that kind of thing.
No.
So what the fuck?
So we follow Trip and Archer out into the hallway. They're still just talking. Archer starts to ask Trip if he knows much about Malcolm Reed, and he says no, and that Reed's pretty closed off and pretty quiet. And yeah, that's where he mentions about his parents would know that he likes catfish.
And it's got to be done right.
And it's got to be done right.
Exactly.
And while they're talking, the alien vessel returns and the captain is summoned to the bridge.
In his casual outfit,
Yeah.
which, looked great.
Took him 2 seconds to put his overalls on.
Yeah, that's right. Their overalls just literally throw on. Anyway.
So we cut to the bridge and Archer's there. He hails the ship and says, "Welcome back." And they still don't respond. He says, "Our primary mission is to make peaceful contact with alien races." And they still just sat there and didn't respond. And then they send a transmission and Hoshi says, "I don't think it's a language." And then it comes over the speakers and it's really loud and annoying and everyone's like in pain.
Grabs their ears.
Like
their
a
ears.
dampening field.
Yeah. And they say they're being scanned. I think Reed says they're being scanned, or maybe Hoshi does. Someone says it.
To Paul.
T'Pol says it. And then they get shot. No one's been hurt. But when they were about to fire, Reed was able to do a scan of the alien ship and they registered 15 biosigns and some information about their defense systems and stuff. So he says even if we got a shot off, our torpedoes wouldn't have penetrated their shielding. Archer asked T'Pol to join him to visit Trip to assess the damage and asked her if the Vulcans ever experienced as many hostile aliens when they started reaching out into the universe.
Is this where he's like, have you come across these and I don't care how if it's top secret or not? Is this where he says that?
No.
No, he says that later.
He was asking, did the Vulcans contact so many hostile aliens when they first started
that's
going
right.
into
As they're walking
space?
through the whole.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and she's like, "It was different times, Captain."
Yeah, she says it was a different time. There weren't so many species with warp capabilities, so it wasn't so full.
Yeah.
Like, wait a couple of centuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Archer says that the Enterprise had ports for 3 phase cannons, but they never were installed.
Because they left too quickly.
They left too early, so they were never installed.
Couple of weeks too soon.
They were meant to be done on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what went through our minds.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you were, because any Trekkie probably would have the same thought.
Absolutely. So he says he thinks it's time that they were installed. So wants to go back to Earth, back to Jupiter Station to get the phase cannons installed. He has a briefing with Reed and Trip to talk about that, and they say that they can do it themselves because they have one on board. What the fuck?
Yeah.
If you had it on board, why hasn't it already been installed?
Yeah.
Exactly. That there was a couple of episodes before that. They were bored shitless on this ship.
Yeah, exactly. There's something to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
Build
for
a
it.
weapon.
And remember they had all those troubles with the torpedoes? They had so many troubles with the torpedoes
That's right,
and
the
like the
guidance
targeting
systems.
systems.
Yep.
Yeah.
So why, if you had an alternative weapon, wouldn't you have installed it at some point? It only took them 2 days?
Yeah, exactly. 2 days, because that's how long it was going to repair the thing. 2 days, and you would have had a new weapon up and running. They've had the Suliban that they've been fighting too, which were like this new whole area that they had never been to that was all scary, and they were scared shitless of the Suliban. Why the fuck didn't you put a phaser in?
Yeah.
Like, it's
I don't
ridiculous.
understand.
But I mean, there is a bit of an error here because, as I was saying before, with Broken Bow, the Enterprise on its saucer section had pulse weapons that it shot at the Suliban inside the gas planet.
As
it was going towards the helix, it came out of the clouds
and fired phasers.
All these red pulses
Yeah.
towards the ships. One of the Suliban abandoned ship.
Yeah,
and
jumped
then
out.
They grappled the Suliban
Yeah,
ship
okay,
in the Enterprise.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. So where did that go?
Where did that weapon go?
And that was, they were on top of the saucer section, not underneath.
Underneath, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. There you go.
So they've got something.
Even more inconsistency.
So, yeah, right, okay.
I tell you, this series.
Again. So these sort of things is what takes me out of the series.
Look, I love the concept of Enterprise, and most of the episodes, I really love the story that they're trying to tell.
Exactly.
But fucking attention to detail is not their strong point.
No.
Is it?
There seems to be weapon errors in Star Trek.
Yeah, there's definitely some inconsistencies for sure. Just in all the series, the effectiveness of their weapons varies.
Yeah, significantly. I mean, if you've said before with Voyager and the torpedo count and things like that, and the first weapon they use because they have the quantum torpedoes,
The tri-cobalt.
the tri-cobalt. That's the one. Sorry, the tri-cobalt device. Like, what the fuck ever happened to that? Like, like there's so many things.
So Archer's talking to them about wanting to go back, and Reed and Trip say that they can just do it. They've got the one on the board. Let us do it. Or at least let us work on it on the way back to Jupiter Station, so that
they have less time
in dock, so that they can get back to their mission. So Archer says, "Sure, you do that. Go ahead, make it so."
Fucking.
We come back to commercial, and Reed and Trip are briefing people in the armory about the new phaser system. And he says that Enterprise was made to hold 3. They have 1 on board. And Trip says something here. Trip says that, the captain thinks it should be done by the boys back at Jupiter Station. I was like, oh, this really is before the original series when we only have boys working in the mechanic's shop. I don't know why that bothered me so much, but when he said the boys back at the station or back at Jupiter Station, I was like, what the fuck? Really? We still using this sort of sexist terminology in the future? Come on,
boys.
We cut to Hoshi having another conversation about favourite foods. My eyes rolled a little bit, but anyway. She was sitting on the bridge at her station talking to Malcolm's sister.
Yeah.
And
where her desk is opposite Malcolm's from the room,
Malcolm is busy installing the phasers. We already talked about this.
Yes, and then they contacted that other officer that said that he liked the mahi-mahi, and then it was the waitress.
Waitress, absolutely.
Yep,
so no luck. Hoshi's had no luck with anyone finding out. And Mayweather comes on the bridge and says, how's the mission going? And she says that no luck, I've called his sister and we've had no luck with the family. His best friend doesn't know. No one knows anything. And T'Pol says, why don't you just ask him? What a fucking novel idea.
Exactly.
Trust the Vulcan to make sense.
How logical.
Yeah. Fucking save everybody some fucking time.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So we cut to the mess hall and Reed is sitting there alone, eating and reading. And Hoshi grabs a tray of food and asks to join him and starts grilling him about food, basically.
Yeah.
He's not really paying that much attention. He's focused on his work.
Yeah.
She starts saying that she likes cooking and she's got a hot plate in her room and maybe I could cook for you one day. Yeah. Which, when you say it like that, absolutely sounds like a bit of a come on.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what Reed thinks that she's flirting with him. And he says, I don't think that would be appropriate. We're both officers.
Senior officers.
Yeah.
Yes.
She starts giggling and laughing at him. And I was like, that's not a very nice response either. But anyway.
But we all know Hoshi could do better.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It was a really good scene.
It was a cute interaction,
Yeah,
I guess.
it felt natural too. Like you could really feel that it was done well. Yeah, you could feel the awkwardness. You could know what was going to happen. Like it was just set up really, really well between the two of them. I felt it was good.
I agree.
Yeah.
We get a shot of the Enterprise flying through space, heading back to Jupiter Station, and the alien ship is following them. Bom, bom, bom. Oh my god, it's like we're brothers. T'Pol has seen them and that they're gaining on them, and they shoot. They lose main power, and you see a shuttle leave the alien ship heading towards Enterprise. The shuttle boards Enterprise through Launch Bay 2.
Yeah.
Is that what she said? It was Launch Bay 2. And we cut to the hallway, and there's a bunch of Starfleet officers with torches walking through the...
No, that's 4.
I thought there was a couple of different groups of Starfleet officers walking through the darkened hallways with flashlights trying to find these aliens. And there's one shot of the aliens walking at the end of the hallway, and for me, it reminded me of the movie Signs. It creeped me out.
Yeah. It was really well done.
Yeah.
It was clever.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that quite a lot. It gives you that great feeling of like an old alien sci-fi sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
To me, though, the aliens in this one are, I don't know. My mind can't judge these aliens
Because of their appearance?
Yeah.
Is it because the CG is so old school?
I think it's because we've never seen these aliens again in Star Trek.
Yeah.
They're just a mysterious made up foe to, I don't know, but like no wonder they can't communicate. Their mouths go differently. Sorry, mate. I'm trying not to be dirty here to describe
You're
these
allowed
mouths,
to.
but
Go for it.
but yeah, it looks like
They got a vagina on their face.
yeah, it does.
I wouldn't know.
This is why I'm gay. Because I've done a lot of research just to try and find out what theories might be behind these aliens, and there's nothing about them.
No.
It's just a mysterious alien. That was it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, go on. They come in. They're obviously pretty relatively powerful, sort of an alien species, and they just packed up and left. It's like we got one person to fight back at us, and now we're scared shitless. We're going to pack up our whole society and run.
Also, they're wearing a suit, which is phaser proof. Obviously, is it an environmental suit or is it a protection suit?
Yeah,
maybe both.
That's it.
It doesn't really have a.
No, well,
it was a force field.
It looked like a force field.
It had a
to
force
me.
field, but then when they shot it, it had another force field again over that. So I think it's a protective and then a field as
bubble.
well.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit of an odd thing, but they're clearly powerful.
Yeah.
Yet they don't come back, and we don't see them again at all. So it's an unusual thing.
I'd like to think those little worm things in TNG got to them.
Yeah. I kind of wish they come back too.
I know, right? I'd love to see them
That
again.
would have been a good Picard season 4.
I know, right?
Would that be great? It'd be fantastic.
Yeah. The bad CG aliens, after they do get shot, they leave. They get back on their shuttle and fuck off.
Very similar CG to 8472.
The way they walked was kind of similar, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
And the tallness of them.
And then once their shuttle goes back onto their ship, the ship starts to head off and shoots the Enterprise nacelle on its way out. So the Enterprise is stuck. We come back from our commercial break and we're in sickbay, and the two crewmen that were interacting with the aliens have been stunned into coma-like positions with their eyes open.
With some invasive procedures.
Yes.
I'm assuming they died.
No,
he said they would be okay. They were unconscious or stunned or something.
Take them a while to recover.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're going to be fine.
They're going to be
just
fine.
never hear anything about them again.
All right. Trip says that it will still be a couple of days before they can get the warp drive back up and running, but impulse engines are working, so they're still on course for Jupiter Station. On the bridge, Mayweather suggests contacting the Vulcan High Command for some assistance. Archer initially says, no, I don't think so. And then thinks for a second and goes, okay, let's open a channel. I think Archer's been so adamant that the humans need to do this for themselves up until this point. So I think even just him changing his mind and making a decision to contact them so soon is a sign of positive growth, right?
Yeah.
He's learning.
He is.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
So he tries to contact them, but he can't anyway.
Yeah.
Because they find out that the two subspace amplifiers that they've dropped, Echo 1 and Echo 2, have both been destroyed.
Now, if Hoshi was actually working on that project the whole time, like she should have been, would they not have known that
They would have
fucking
known.
earlier?
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Instead,
that
she
is correct.
still hasn't found out what his favourite food is, so she's not even doing that.
Tom,
Sorry.
it's Malcolm Reed's birthday. That takes top priority.
My bad. I'm sorry. That's the first thing we need to worry
We're being
about.
chased by an enemy, and we need to know what he's got for his birthday.
Exactly.
Need to know the favourite foods. Get my priorities right.
You would make a shit Starfleet captain.
When you're being stalked, party plan.
Exactly. All right, we cut to engineering. Reed is getting a bit cranky because they still haven't got the phasers up and running yet, and he thought that they should have done it by now. But he also wants to reroute some of the impulse engine power through the weapons to make them a bit more powerful. And Trip says, no, you should have run this by me first. I'm the fucking engineer, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah, because you could blow half the fucking ship up.
Exactly. Archer comes into engineering, checking on the repairs. Archer's talking to Trip up on the next to the warp engine while Trip's doing some repairs, and Archer confesses that he tried to contact the Vulcans to ask for help, and he sort of reflects on the fact that they left Earth before they were ready for it.
Oh, are your ears getting a little bit pointier?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he says something about the crew would all agree that they made the right decision by leaving.
I think it's another point of Archer's reflection on his leadership, I guess, that maybe he wasn't the one that was prepared, maybe more than the rest of the crew, right?
Well,
Well, that's how I feel.
Well, yeah, I agree with him.
He hasn't made really good decisions up to this point. And going back to get the proper weapons, asking the Vulcans for help, I think those are both positive changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is just a point where he's reflecting on that and gets a bit of reassurance from Trip that he has done the right thing. Yeah, he's not completely out of the realm of sanity. Cut to Reed with the phaser cannon. Trip approaches, and Trip has basically changed his mind. He says, you know what? Let the impulse engines feed into the phasers. Fuck it. We cut to Archer's ready room, and he's recording his log. He's talking about how they've got the phasers up and running and how proud he is of his team. Aw, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, for doing something in, did he say 2 days that it would have taken him 3 weeks to do?
At
A
Jupiter
week.
Station.
Yeah.
Jupiter.
Yeah.
He said a week.
A
at
week.
Jupiter,
All right.
yeah.
Still, I'd be checking their work.
They must be union.
No.
He gets onto the bridge and he's decided to do some target practice. So they find a moon. Archer says to just shoot the top off this little crater, and the blast yield is 10 times what it was supposed to be.
Oh, they blew out a whole heap of circles.
Yeah, they blew out all the relays on deck 3 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
C
Screen.
deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was some damage done when they did that.
Quite a lot.
T'Pol says that she's picking up some anomalous readings from Launch Bay 2, and so they head down. T'Pol, Archer, Trip, and Reed all head down to find a device that's in Launch Bay 2 that the aliens have obviously left there, that's been infiltrating into the systems as well as monitoring and everything and reporting back to the aliens.
Yeah.
So Archer sees this and
Putting out a shit ton of power too.
Yeah.
Like a fuck ton of power, and that's why the phasers went
overloaded.
and went nuts. So
Yeah.
it's like, 2.
So it's super powerful.
Gigawatts.
Wrong franchise.
Sorry, my bad.
So Archer looks at the device and leaves a message for the aliens about how humans aren't going to back down from a fight, and then shoots the device
And blows up the ship. And
without
and
scanning.
That's the end of it.
without checking what's going to happen,
Yeah.
without any sort of warning to anyone else either.
Yep.
Not that it had antimatter in it.
No.
Who knows?
That's it.
Who knows?
Didn't do any of it. Just the whole ship just exploded then.
bang,
Just boom.
we're dead.
Yeah, that's it. The whole franchise is over.
Yep.
Now, did we actually see the device? Because was the camera...
White dome with silver circle around
We
it.
did see it. Yeah, okay. All right. I must have blinked.
It looks like a security camera in a mall.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It's only 2 megapixel as well.
Yeah. Shoot without thinking. And that's it. We cut to sickbay. Hoshi comes in and asks Phlox to break all medical confidentiality.
This is my
And can we
problem.
please get into his records just to find out what kind of food he likes?
Yeah.
What the actual fuck?
Yeah.
My real problem is just the breach of confidentiality here. It was more than one thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He went through a list of the things he's
Exactly.
allergic to.
And brought it
Instead
up.
of-
medical file.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And brought it up on the computer in front of her. He could have said, "No worries, I'll check his file for anything that might help you,
Yeah.
and I'll get back to you." And
Yeah.
then just like sent her a message or got in touch with her later and said, "Oh look, this one particular thing might help you." Not like you just said, go through a list on the computer screen in front of you.
Bromelain, sorry, is what he's allergic to. And then Hoshi just tells the doctor that it's Captain's orders to
Yeah,
give
to
her
get
that
it.
information.
Without verifying.
Yeah.
No verification
No
there.
two-factor authentication here.
That's it. Here's a letter from the captain. Or even check with him. You can just hit a button and check with the captain. Is it all right if I...
He's allergic to dust mites, oak pollen, and tropical insects.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Why did she need to know
she's-
any of that?
And she's looking right at the screen.
She's looking at his screen.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dr. Flox in that breach of medical records conversation says that he's been taking a supplement to counteract his allergy to bromamine. Was that what it was called?
Bromulin.
Brom-
Bromulin.
Yeah.
Bro,
Bromine.
whatever.
The stuff in pineapple.
It's in pineapple, yeah. So he's been taking a supplement to so that he can eat pineapple, basically. Riveting. Especially with such, a crisis happening with the aliens and the weapons and all
Yeah.
that. This really strong, important A story and this super trivial B story,
You can see that they're trying to do some character development around Malcolm.
which is definitely needed.
Absolutely.
He's
But
had like 3 lines.
It's not the way to do it.
No,
No,
not
it's
with
not.
other characters talking about him. How about give him something to do?
Yeah, exactly. Make it about him with him would be good.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We cut back to the bridge. The alien ship is coming back. The aliens hail them this time, and they're using Archer's message to say that you're defenseless.
Surrender.
Surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah. They use the new phasers on the aliens. They shoot, and nothing really happens. And then Archer says, "What the fuck? You basically blew the moon into smithereens."
Blew a crater the size of Mount McKinley.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have a better memory than me. And he says that was due to an overload. So, cool. Overload the fucking system again. Come on, we're in a fight here.
Kind of need it.
So they talk about that for a little bit, and Reed's talking about how it's might do some damage and stuff. Trip Techno babbles his way out of it. And then they shoot, and the aliens' shields are failing, so they shoot the torpedoes, which does some actual damage, and the aliens run away. Never to be seen again in the entire franchise of Star Trek.
Yeah.
One little bloody nose, and they go running.
Yeah.
But it was interesting how they said that they were going to put the recoil into the gravity plating to overload the phasers, but no one.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Wouldn't they all like get
A bit
squished?
heavier or a little bit lighter.
Yeah,
Or...
that's it.
The captain says there's no reason to go back to Jupiter. Hoshi says, well, the good thing about coming back this far, at least, is that we can replace those subspace amplifiers.
Convenient.
Very convenient.
Very.
So they do that.
Not near a star.
What?
For
The solar panels.
Oh, yeah. Archer sets a return course to where they were to keep going. Then we cut to Archer having a beer with his boys in the armory. Just an
Around
actual
the
beer.
torpedoes and the phasers.
Yeah.
And
As you do, hanging out with the torpedoes. So manly.
Yeah, with the boys.
With the boys. Yeah. Get a beer with the boys. Yeah. Good job, boys. And then Hoshi comes in with a big crate and says, I've got that thing you ordered, Captain, or the part you wanted, or whatever she says. And it is birthday cake for Malcolm. So they bring out the cake. They say happy birthday. Malcolm cuts into the cake and says, pineapple, my favorite. How did you know? And then it freeze frames and we all laugh because it's a sitcom.
oh, no trouble at all.
And that's the end of the episode. So now that we talked through it, any final thoughts?
I like the concept of the aliens. I just wish there was more character development on them and less on the Cake and Malcolm's
Yeah.
attempt at character building.
Agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree that the Malcolm Cake thing didn't need to be there. But I do like that the aliens are kind of mysterious.
True.
Yep.
Yeah, the birthday thing makes no sense. It
Makes no sense.
Because nobody else on the
irrelevant.
ship for the next 4 years has a birthday.
We rarely see Star Trek birthdays.
We seen Deanna Troy's birthday cake, remember?
Yeah.
It was that cellulose cake that Data kept cutting.
Well, that
into.
was Data's,
cellular peptide
that was
cake.
That's it.
Data's
That was his
hallucination.
hallucination. Yeah.
But Worf had a birthday
I was going
party.
to say,
Oh, that's
Worf had a
right.
birthday party and he kept travelling through time.
Yeah,
on the
so
birthday,
that
'cause that was a surprise
chocolate
So
birthday.
cake.
bad things happens on
Yeah.
birthdays. We
Don't
just,
celebrate
Yeah,
it.
no, just don't do it.
But yeah, I liked the A story.
Yeah,
Didn't like the
absolutely.
B story. And I
Yeah.
thought the B story subtracted to the episode overall.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the concept of this story was really good. Again, same with Enterprise. I find that a lot. The actual idea they had was really good. The execution was a bit rough.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to put it. Was this not a director you said that has done
Multiple.
multiple? So
episodes.
this person,
I don't think this is a directing issue. I think it was directed fine. It's a writing issue. These are all issues with the writing.
Well, absolutely, but isn't the director the one that actually sort of like polishes it and finishes
No.
it and finds issues
No.
as they go through? So what the hell does a director do? Points a camera and says, "Go for it."
Well,
So
there's
they
a
don't
bit
have-
more to it than that, but they have no input into the actual story or writing. And in Star Trek, they're really strict on the writers produce something,
Yeah.
and the director has to film what is written, and the actors have to say exactly what is written. There's not much
Wiggle room
leeway
around either
for them to interpret it.
Yeah, okay.
So
And if you listen to any of the documentary series or anything from the cast, they say they're not allowed to. They're not allowed
Ad-lib
to
or do
No,
it.
ad lib
rough.
a thing. All right, what's the lesson that we can take out of this one? Maybe I'll steal a lesson that's more from the Lion King.
That
is-
sounds appropriate.
Be prepared.
yep.
Actually, I don't mind that. That's good.
Well, I think this whole episode is about the fact that they were not prepared for what they were going to experience. That's our life lesson then. Be prepared. We're happy with that as a life
Yep.
lesson for the week.
Yeah.
And Natalie from Pensacola will never have closure.
Never.
Yeah. No, never.
Never,
No.
ever. Poor Natalie.
I feel so sorry for her.
She'll get over it. IMDb rating. So, Grant, in a second, we'll ask you for what your examples of 1 and 10 episodes are. But for everyone at home, our usual examples of 1 episodes are Voyager's Threshold and Next Gen's Code of Honor.
I was actually going to use Threshold as well.
No, that's okay. You can.
And examples of 10 episodes are Next Gen's Tapestry and Deep Space Nine's Far Beyond the Stars. So before we rate this week's episode, what would be your examples of 1 and 10 episodes from the franchise?
Definitely. Oh, hang on. There is an Enterprise episode what's the name of it? The one where he meets the princess in hibernation. Precious Cargo and Threshold are on par with me with those ones.
Yep, so that's your 1.
That's my 1. And then my 10? Definitely that one from Deep Space Nine. What was it called again?
Far
The
Beyond
Visitor?
The Visitor. That always gets me.
Yeah.
That's a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Good choices.
Yeah, they have very good choices.
Agree. What do we want to rate this episode? Last week we gave Cold Front a 7.
Yeah.
Was this better or worse than last week's episode?
I would probably give this. I'd probably actually give this a 5, maybe a 6. The acting was good. The storyline was good. There was a lot of technical problems, but it was actually all right to watch.
I think the things we got frustrated about this week were less important
Yeah.
than the gravity-defying
Yeah.
scene at the end of last week's episode.
Yeah.
For me, I think the story in this one is at least on par with last week's
Yeah.
Temporal War episode.
Yeah.
So I actually really enjoyed this, apart from the B story, which didn't actually take up that much time. So for me, this is maybe like a 7 or an 8.
Well, I don't want to go to an 8. Let's go to a 7.
Yeah, I'd give it 7 Malcolm Reeds out of 10.
Yeah.
7 Malcolm Reeds.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, any last thoughts on Silent Enemy before we wrap up?
No, I that's one of my go-to episodes when I'm sick and when it's raining. So yeah,
Yeah, I
like
think
that
it's a
one.
pretty good episode, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Excellent. All right. Well, before we just do our final wrap-ups, thank you for coming in, Grant,
Not a
and
problem.
joining us for this episode. I hope you come back and
I hope so too.
join us
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it was great.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
good to meet a fellow Trekkie that's definitely on the same wavelength as we are.
There's not a lot of local Trekkies either,
No.
so
No,
it's nice to have some
Be around
locals
family.
coming in.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it's like.
Exactly. All right, everyone at home, you can find us on Facebook at Temporal Directive Podcast and on Instagram, just Temporal Directive. And you can get in touch via email at wakefield_productions@outlook.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode or anything Trek related. We love talking about Star Trek, so please join in that conversation. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be back next week with the episode Dear Doctor. We'll see you then. Live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.